My next selection is a young adult graphic novel. This is by Rowell, and it's called Pumpkinheads. It is about, it's an autumnal read. Definitely read it around October. Good for like pumpkin time.
The PSL?
Yes. Yeah, PSL in one hand, Pumpkinheads in the other. And it's, it's definitely one hand friendly. I mean, aside from turning the pages, but you'll figure it out.
Just put it down into one of these so you don't have to put down your coffee.
Exactly. But it's about two best friends, Deja and Josiah, and they are just seasonal best friends. So they just meet when they work at this pumpkin patch each year. And it's a big festival in their town, and Josiah, I think, has had kind of a mini crush on Deja the whole time, but has never really said anything, and then he kind of gets a bigger crush on somebody else. So Deja helps him through the whole festival try to find this girl that he has been yammering on about for years. So it's very sweet, very wholesome. It's very wholesome. And they just kind of trek together. It's an adventure, coming of age tale, good for pretty much any young adult sphere, probably grades 7 and up, I'd say, probably around there. Then the pictures are very pretty. It's great illustrations. Who's the illustrator? Faith Erin Hicks. So definitely recommend this one. It's very, very good.
For those of you who haven't read a graphic novel, they're not comic books.
Not a comic book, although it looks like one.
They do use similar artwork, but a true graphic novel, sometimes they're series, but usually it's a novel. It's a standalone story that's told through words and obviously pictures.
Yeah.
And the really good ones, if you get one like this, you understand why they chose that medium, because there's just no way you could probably do the same thing with just written word.
Yeah, and it makes it, I'd say it brings another dimension to it. Not only do you hear the characters and empathize with them, but then you also get to see them and feel the actions that they're doing.
There's a lot of good biographies that the person chooses to use that as their medium. So. Okie dokie.
Oh, and Rowell writes a ton of other young adult books as well. So if you're interested in her after you've read this, definitely check out some of her other books that are not graphic.
Mm-hmm. So this next one, I have 2 books here, but they're the same series. The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. It is a modern fairy tale, but think more in the lines of Grimm's fairy tales. Definitely not Disney fairy tales.
No.
Not at all.
No.
So it tells a story of a character named Alice, and she's never met her grandmother, who is this one-hit wonder author of this series of fairy tales. Stuff happens, and then she starts to think, well, what if the fairy tales aren't just stories? And this is the follow-up one that's out. I'm about halfway through with it, and it's just as trippy as this one. There's multiple worlds, and you're not quite sure. You usually figure out which one you're in, but you don't always know right away which one you're in.
I read the first book. I haven't read the second one. I felt almost at the end of the first book it almost felt like an ending.
Yeah.
So I was almost surprised when a second book came out.
Yeah, I read the first one after I knew the second one was out, but with the way she ends the first one, you wouldn't expect there to be any sort of follow-up.
Yeah, I could have definitely seen she would have had a next book, but I didn't expect it.
Yeah, the next book is dealing with the aftermath of the first book. And I can't tell you more than that because it'll totally give a lot of stuff away. Like, it's something you need to immerse yourself in. And I wanted the room quiet when I was reading it because there's just a lot of different stuff going on and trying to, like, figure out, okay, what is going on? Who's real, who's not real?
Mm-hmm. Light a candle for that one and get cozy.
But if you get scared easily, maybe keep someone else in the room with you. I don't know, it's one of those that, like, you could probably read it in October for that slightly horror. Like,
definitely.
They're dark fairy tales.
And then follow up with Pumpkinheads.
There's nothing overtly inappropriate or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think younger readers would have a hard time following the different worlds. It's a little bloody at times, but not overly graphic. There was nothing in there that I was like, ooh, it was just, but there are some.
It was definitely dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a little while since I read it, but.
It's on the darker side, so if you're at all concerned as a parent, older teens be pretty good with, depending on, what you're comfortable with your kids reading. But it's a great book. Good writing.
Awesome. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it.
So this is a brand new book. We have it in Libby and Overdrive, and I put in a purchase request for the hard copy. So hopefully we'll be getting some of those too, and I can't see us not getting any others. Elizabeth Acevedo has written other books that we've gotten. Poet X, I think, was one of the Florida Teen Reads last year. She's a great author. I had not read anything by her before until I read this. It was an impulse buy for me, and I saw it recommended on Instagram. Because that's the kind of girl I am.
At least it wasn't Wish.
But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is written in prose, so it is poetic. And one unique thing about it is it alternates perspectives. Let me back up. So the two main characters in this are teenage girls. One lives in Dominican Republic and the other one lives in New York City. They find out that they share a father at the age of 17. So drama, yeah. And they both have obviously different mothers, and there's a lot of subterfuge that has occurred throughout their lives that they had no acknowledgement of. So when they do finally find out about the other, it's after their father has already passed away. And none of this is really a surprise. I think if you read the synopsis, it'll tell you he passes away on a flight from New York to the Dominican. So his daughter's waiting for him at the airport, and he just never shows up. And it's in his passing that he finds that the daughters find out that they have the same father. So fast forward now. The way it is told interesting is that each daughter has a section or chapter, and those chapters are only divided up by the number of lines in the stanza. So the one has 2 lines in the stanza, and the other one has 3.
That's a lot of thought into making your chapters.
Well, and it's good that she does this, because at one point, at the beginning, they denote which one is talking, but when they finally meet up again, she doesn't. So if you don't pay attention at the beginning and notice that she's using this kind of subtle way of telling you who's talking, then in the last chapter, you're going to kind of have to figure it out. But yeah, Camina is the one who lives in Dominican, and she always has 3 stanzas. And Yahira is the one that lives in New York, and she only has 2.
How long did it take you to figure that out?
I think, like, in this, probably maybe like a third of the way through the book when it kind of resonated.
Mm-hmm.
But once I did, I was like, oh my gosh, that's genius. So that's just one part of this book that I absolutely loved. The storyline was epic. It was just a really awesome book about grief, about growing, about, learning who you are, learning who you can depend on. So I highly recommend it. It did touch a little bit on sexual assault, about obviously the dad's affair and all of that that was occurring. But it wasn't overtly graphic or anything like that. I'd probably say 14 to 18 age range. So it was great.
You got one that's on the list.
So this is my last book. No Dragons. I don't know if you can read it.
YA fantasy starting to fail me. There's not as many dragons as there used to be.
This is my last to pick. This is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. We also own this in, I want to say we have it on Libby as well, but we have it in print too. We don't have any copies currently checked in, so you'll have to go and hold for it. It is a trilogy. The last book just came out last year. They're amazing. Holly Black, she writes about fairy like I have never read another author write about them. You probably
Read about the Fae.
Yes.
There's lots of Fae and Cassandra Clare books as well. Are they? Well, it says cruel, so.
Yeah. It is about, so this is about Jude, who has two sisters. Her two sisters were not born Fae. I'm not as good at this terminology as you are, because this was my first introduction to it. But yeah, so the two sisters weren't born into it. The one was. The two girls, Jude and her twin sister Taryn, I believe is her name. Taryn. They moved back to the human world with their mother and their sister, only to have their one sister, who is Faye's father, come and kill the mother. It's dark.
So, for those of you who are unaware, fairy mythology is not happy usually. They are not, mischievous like Tinkerbell or some other fairies. They are definitely their own beings with their own set of ethics and morals, which we would consider pretty dark.
It's not cute.
So
anyways, Jude ends up getting tormented by one of the young princelings. There's a lot of upheaval in the realm that they live in. Nobody knows who's going to be the king next after the current king is gone. There's just a lot of craziness in this. I would definitely say upper young adult, probably, I don't know, 15 and up. It's not too terribly graphic, but then as the series progresses, as you were saying earlier, so does the content in the characters. But yeah, awesome. You should read this for sure.
it's on my list. It's on my Pop Sugar reading challenge.
Pop Sugar. I've kind of fallen by the wayside with that this year. But
And that is a very, very small sampling of what we have to offer. We have lots of ebooks of different varieties and Libby, Overdrive.
definitely Hoopla.
Yeah, so, whatever we don't have in print, sometimes we get it in ebook. If you don't see something in our system, put in a purchase request.
Purchase requests are great.
Yeah.
It's
And
a good way for us to know what our patrons are looking for.
some of the stuff I've picked up is because I've seen a patron requested it. And for those of you who aren't teens or young adults, all of these would be fine for...
We obviously enjoy
Yes. We may not look it, but I promise we are adults. And, the only difference between some of these is the character might be, 17, 18, but they're definitely placed in situations that we would consider adult situations.
Yeah.
Things they have to deal with, problems. Not all of them are growing up problems. Some of them are. But I think we all face growing up problems basically forever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Adulting.
adulting can be hard, but that's okay. Alrighty, so you all have a great day.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
If you guys have any other suggestions, if you could drop them in the comment box, we'd love to hear what things you're reading, what young adult titles you suggest.
New series. I'm looking for new series.
Yes, new series. As long as they don't have more than 3 books.
YA is definitely going to the trilogy and not the prolonged, forever endless series. I'm okay with that. But
Although if it's good enough, you know.
you just wait till they're all out.
Wait until they're all out.
And then you can go and read them all.
Yeah,
together.
I have a hard time with the waiting game. I'm an instant gratification type of person. But anyways, yes, thank you.